So, welcome everybody back to our lecture 6 of the microprocessors and microcontroller subject. So far, what we have seen in this course is about the 8086 architecture, and very recently we have seen about its register set, what all the different registers are there in this, and how they are placed, where they are placed into it. Let us continue our discussion into it. And today we'll be just going back to our previous class for a while to check what about the flag registers are, and followed by it we'll be talking about the memory segmentation in 8086 system. So this particular flag we have seen in our previous class. You can check it, all different flag bits are there, starting from the lower side this carry flag, and towards the highest side our overflow flag. We have discussed about each flag and what its purpose is. We have seen how they are categorized. They are categorized into two different group of flags bits. That is, one is called as a control flag bits, and another set is called as a status flag bits. Now, today we shall talk about the memory segmentation and see how the memory is segmented in 8086 and why it is segmented, and what are the pros and cons of having the memory as segmented in a 8086 system. Now, before going to exactly talk about the memory segmentation, let me talk about the memory addressing. There are two types. There are two types of memory addressing. The one is linear addressing, the other is segmented addressing. In linear addressing, what we have is that we will be having a register of a capacity. What is the total memory addressing capability of a processor? Say, for an example, 8085 is the microprocessor in which its addressing capability is 64 KB, 64 kilobytes, and it has a registers which can address that complete 64 kilobytes of memory locations in a single go. That has in 8086 not possible, because its addressing capabilities of up to 20 bits, but its internal register sizes are only 16 bits. So due to this, what problem happens is that on a single go, in any not a single internal register of 8086 is capable of addressing all the memory address at a single go. Okay, whereas up to 8085 we had a linear segmentation, not segmentation actually, linear addressing methods, where the complete address is taken as one entity and the memory location was addressed according to it. Linear addressing. So in linear addressing, what happens is that if suppose an address is there, that address of a memory location in a processor will be held in a one particular register. Direct addressing it is called as, directly pointing one address to the exact physical location of the memory bit. Okay, and the earlier processor, from processor 8080 till 8085, these all processor series had this linear type of addressing. For example, when we talk about this 8085 had one particular register into it which can hold the complete address of its total capability. Its total capability was addressing memories of 64 kilobytes. So it had a register 64 kilobytes. When you take in the 2's power, it is of a 8 bit. So it's 2 power 8. Okay. So it had that capacity, and it had that addressing feature that it was able to address a complete location into a single go. But whereas that facility is not available in 8086. Instead, here we are having a memory which is called as segmented addressing. In segmented addressing, what the thing is that the total memory is first of all divided into the segments, parts. Okay. So segmented addressing is one in which the total memory, the full length memory, is divided into parts. The partition of the memory is done because when they are partitioned, the particular part of the memory is accessible by a particular segment area of the memory. Suppose we talked about earlier the programs. So programs contains instructions and data. So we have to store instructions and data all onto the memory. In some processors where this linear addressing is there, it is difficult to separate this program instructions from the data. That means program memory from data memory. Whereas when we talk about 8086, that feature is available that here we can completely isolate the program instructions into one part of the memory called as a program memory or code memory, and other part of the memory we can save our data, which we can declare to be known as data memory. Okay, or the data part of the memory or data segment of the memory. Similarly, code segment of the memory. Okay. Now here, if you see this on this green color side here, this particular addresses are the linear addresses. That means here these numbers written here, when you can see here the topmost here F0000. So it is one 20-bit address of a particular memory location, physical 20-bit address of a particular memory location. There it is directly pointing to one particular physical location without that means breaking that address into two parts. Whereas when it is segmented addressing, here you can see that the address are indicated in two 16-bit numbers here. Instead of writing one 20-bit number, it is written in two 16-bit numbers. So these are the two 16-bit numbers, namely it is segment address one thing, and another part is the offset address. And we need to calculate the physical address by attaching these two by a particular formula in the previous classes we have discussed. Today we will be going to take a few examples and try to find out the physical address from these two parts, that is segment address and the offset address. But before that, let us talk something more about the memory segmentation in 8086. So in 8086 memory system, here we have a memory is segmented into 16 parts. So total capability of the 8086 addressing is of 1 megabyte. So that 1 megabyte memory is divided into 16 equal parts. So when we do that, each part corresponds to 64 kilobytes of the memory. 64 kilobytes into 16, it will be here 1024 kilobytes. That is our 1 megabyte. Now, at a time, 8086 can make a use of its segment registers CS, DS, ES, SS, and simultaneously it can handle 4 such segments. It can use 4 such segments and do its addressing. Okay. Now, when I say that at a given moment of time it uses only 4 segments, it doesn't mean that it is using only 64 into 4, that is 256 kilobyte of memory. It is true that it is uses 64 into 4, that is 256 kilobyte of memory at a moment of time. But in a broader sense, when you suppose you want to use another area of the memory, just you need to change the segment address contained in the segment registers, either CS, DS, ES or SS. So when you do that one, you will be able to go to the next particular area of the memory and start storing your data or instructions there. This particular slide, even previously also I have shown you once. It is regarding to, it is available here for us to see the difference between these segments, overlapping and non-overlapping concepts. So if the physical memory here, when you see from 0000 onwards, then it follows on till that is 80,000 there, 8000H. But it can continue further and go up to FF, 5 times FH. Now that is a physical memory. So here these chunks here, these parts here you call as a segment. So here these examples will show you whether these segments are overlapping or non-overlapping. This particular case, when you see segment 0 and segment 1 here, they are non-overlapping, they are continue type of segments. That means when the first segment is completed, second segment is starting. Okay, they are not overlapping over each other. Another example between segment 1 and segment 2, they are partially overlapping. That means the starting address of segment 1 is out of the segment 2, but the end address of segment 1 is within the segment 2. Similarly, for segment 2, the starting address of segment 2 is within the segment 1, but the end address of segment 2 is outside the segment 1. There is one other example of completely overlap type of segmentations where segment 2 and segment 3 here are completely overlapping each other. Okay. This particular overlapping concept is used for efficiently using the available memory. That means suppose your program and the data to be manipulated are very short, very small, you do not require the complete full memory there. So you can store your programs and data onto a simple physical size of memory which is very small. So in that cases, we go for the overlapped type of segmentation. In 8086, overlapped and non-overlapped, both the type of segmentations are allowed. So as per the programmer's choice, whenever the programmer wants, it can overlap the two segments by setting the segment addresses accordingly. And whenever the non-overlapping type of segmentation is required, it will just use that one segment address which is completely isolated, completely separate from one another. So here we go. We'll continue from this slide. We are discussing about the advantages in this segmentation. So why the segmentation is sometimes better? Obviously, it is difficult to every time calculate and generate a physical address separately. But today we will be checking out in this case the advantages of the segmentation, that how it is useful in a way that we are able to use the maximum capacity of the memory available to us. What is exactly? Let us see point by point. There's a few points written here about the memory segmentation advantages. So here, it provides a powerful memory management mechanism. When it says powerful memory management mechanism, is that again it is talked about that how we can efficiently arrange our data and instructions into the memory without them overlapping or without making the processor to wait for the instructions to be fetched rather than just when the data is overlapping with it. Okay. Here, second point is data related or a stacked type of data operations can be performed in different segment. Earlier when talking about segment registers, we have come across a point as the segment, the stack segment. So stack segment is somewhat little bit different type of a data area, data memory area. In normal data operations, the data is stored anywhere in the physical memory and accessed from anywhere from the physical memory. But the stack data is something different. It is arranged in the stack manner. That means last in will be first out. Okay, whichever the data you kept at the last will be available to you at the first access. So sometimes the stack operations are very important, and to handle all the stack related operations, it is very easy to handle them when the memory is segmented, rather than when it is a linear type of a memory where the data is arranged all together one over the other directly. So one more thing is that the code related operations can be done again as a separate, because there is a dedicated code segment. Stack related operations are done separate because the dedicated stack is available. Okay. Few more points in advantage of this segmentation, it is written here. It allows you to process to easily share data. Data can be shared easily as it is separate, isolated from the program instructions. Okay. Always see all the advantages. I can summarize into a single point, that when we say there is a data over the memory and a program instructions over the memory, if they are available into same physical area, for a processor to access instructions will be not that faster. It has to check for the instruction locations and every time make a jump whenever there is a data in between available. Whereas if I have a dedicated areas to store my program instructions and the data, the processor's speed of fetching the data will increases, because it will be directly accessing the code area of the memory for fetching the instructions, where there is no redundant or unwanted data available between the access. Okay. And another reason is that always basically the segmentation in 8086 advantages are there, but it all started due to one particular disadvantage or a limited capability of 8086 is that it does not have any one particular register which can hold a complete 20-bit address. Instead, we have we are making use of two different 16-bit registers, which are further used for calculation of the physical 20-bit address. So what it is, here it is possible to enhance the memory size of the code and data or stack segments beyond 64 KB by allocating the separate locations to them. Okay. Now, this is how the physical memory looks. As in 8086, as I said, total 16 segments are possible, but at a time out of that 16 segments, we are only using 4 segments. Okay. When the full memory 1 MB is equal to 1024 kilobytes. 1024 kilobytes divided into 16 equal segments. 16, when you divide 1024 kilobytes by 16, it will give you one partition, one part of that segment as 64 kilobytes. So there are total 16 such 64 kilobyte segments available in the physical memory. Out of that, you are accessing only 4 at a moment of time by assigning their base addresses into the code segment register CS, okay, data segment register DS, extra segment register ES, and stack segment register SS. That means segments are named as code segment, data segment, extra segment, and stack segment, and their base address. Base address is the starting address, upper 16 bits of the starting address of that segment, where the segment exactly starts in physical address. Physical address will be 20 bits. So 20 bit address upper 16 bits. That means leaving the 4 least significant bit out of the 20 bit physical address, that upper most 16 bits of the physical address are taken, okay, and those that particular thing is used and stored into our segment registers, and that address is called as a segment address. We shall see that a complete understanding and how it is generated. I have shown you this slide earlier also, that how exactly the 20-bit address is generated in 8086 system. It takes the segment address, multiplies that segment address by a 10 hexadecimal. That means basically it tries to move that segment address, shift its positions by 4 bit to the left hand side, okay, and then a 0 is introduced, hexadecimal 0 is introduced onto the right hand side. After that, we just add a base address of the offset into the that particular thing to make that one as a complete physical address. Now, these combinations you have to just remember. Earlier, while discussing segment registers, I have told you about these combinations. In general, the code segment, when it is used, the code segment area of the memory, when it is used, the segment register, that means wherever the segment address is there, that is CS register. CS register holds the segment address of the segment code segment of the memory, whereas IP registers holds is the offset address of the code segment of the memory. So segment address plus offset address, by using the formula of physical letter calculation, we get the physical address of the program instructions. When using data segment of memory, where the data is placed to access data, we use DS register, which holds the segment address, okay, and generally SI will be used for holding the offset address of the data. But it doesn't mean that it will only be SI here. Some cases, some exceptional cases are there in which DI register can also be used for holding the offset address. BX register is also can be used for holding the offset address. More specific about these two options for holding the offset address, we shall see in addressing modes discussion of our 8086 program addressing modes, okay, data addressing modes. In the data addressing modes, we see that which all the registers can be used for holding the offset address of the data, okay. That option is not available for the code program or the programs or the code segment of the memory. Always the offset of the code, okay, the program instructions memory will be there with IP registers only, IP register only, okay. No other register can take the place of IP register. Whereas when accessing data from the data segment, SI can be used in general, is used for accessing the offset address, but in some cases DI and BX can also be used. About those cases will be elaborating into our topic when we discuss the addressing modes of 8086. And obviously, when using the stack segment memory, where the data is placed at a stack format, that time SS register is used for holding the segment address, and SP in general is used for holding the offset address of the stack. In some exceptional cases, BP register is also used for the holding the it's not BP actually, it should be it's SP and BP, stack pointer in general cases and base pointer in some special cases. That means the base addressing modes will be using this. segment memory, when it is used or accessed, ES register is used for holding the segment address, and DI generally will be used for holding the offset address of that memory. In some exceptional cases, again, SI and BX can be used for holding the offset address in the case of extra segment memory. Now, talking about exactly how the physical address is calculated, we shall elaborately understand with the help of this particular example. Now here, in this example, in the question of the example when it is written, you see that if the CS register is 2500H, that means 2500 hexadecimal, and IP register is 95F3H. So the content in IP register is 95F3 hexadecimal number. Here it is asking us to calculate the physical address. Now, as per the physical address formula, physical address is equal to segment address into 10H plus offset address. So here at the first row of the given thing here, the 2500 hexadecimal is my segment address, which is there in CS register. Okay. Next, I have multiplied that 2500 with the 10 hexadecimal. I have multiplied that 2500 hexadecimal with 10 hexadecimal. Basically, when you do this, your number will shift to one digit onto the left side. Okay. Now here I can give you an example how this works. Suppose you are having an indicators of only 2 digits in decimal working. You are working with decimal numbers, but you are having only the indicators to show your decimal numbers in 2 digits. But you have to show, suppose, a number in 3 digits. 106 is what you want to show. You are having the indicators of 2 digits. Number you have to show is 3 digits. How do you do that? Suppose I have the 2 numbers indicators have 2 types. I have 2 quantity. There are 2 number indicators. Each one of that one will be showing me 2 digits. So there is a number indicator 1 and number indicator 2, or let us say A and B, number indicator A and number indicator B. So A is having 2 digits of decimal, B can also show 2 digits of decimal, but actually what you want to show is 3 digits. So what I'll do is that I have to show 106, 106. So I'll take the first 2 digits upper side of that number, 106. Upper side means LSB is 6. Okay, 1s, 10s, 100 when you say LSB is 6. LSD here because that's a digit, not a bit. So 10 I'll take into my indicator A, because indicator A can show me 2 digits. So it will show me 2 digits as 1 and 0. And indicator B, it can show again 2 digits. Now, out of my 3 digits which I have to show, 2 digits are shown by indicator A of 2 digits, and indicator B, which again can show 2 digits, I'll show there 06. Because there are 2 digits, I have to show both. So 0 and 6 I will show. Now my 2 different indicators, indicator A contains 10, indicator B contains 06. Now how can I tell the others that I am showing you 106 and not 10 and 06? So how it can be done there, that I will take my indicator A, which is showing 10, that is 10, multiply that one with 10, it will give me 100. Basically, when you multiply any number with its base number, in decimal number system the base number is 10, in hexadecimal number system the base number is 16. So if you multiply any number with its base number, it basically shifts its position by 1 digit. So initially we had only 10, but now when I multiply that one with the decimal 10, it gives me 100. Now my original 10 which was there was shifted by 1 digit position to the left side, and extra digit on the right side is introduced as 0. So this is a basic concept of multiplying any number in any number system with its base number. Okay, in decimal the base number is 10. So now I got 100. When I multiplied that 10 with another 10, I got 100. Now I'll say that I have to show my actual number 106. I have to add this 100 with the second indicator numbers. Second indicator is 0 and 6. So I'll add 100 with 0 and 6. It gives me 106. Okay. What I can show to the world is only 2 digits at a time. in my two indicators. First indicator shows only 2, second indicator shows only 2. But they have to understand and take my numbers as 10 into 10, that becomes 100, plus 06, it is 106. So same concept is here applied for calculating the physical address. So it is 2500 is my segment address. It is actually the upper 16 bits of the total physical address. Physical address is of 20 bit size. So here only 16 bits are there. That 2500 is actually 16 bit number. Okay, if you are aware about the hexadecimal and binaries, each hexadecimal digit is corresponding to 4 binary bits. So 2 is written in binary as 0010. Okay, 5 is written in binary as 0101. And 0 is written as 4 zeros. Another 0 is written as 4 zeros. So total, if you see that 2500 hexadecimal, it is a 16-bit binary number. Okay, and this segment address is actually a upper 16 bits of the actual physical address. Physical address is 20 bits. Out of that, upper 16, leaving the 4 least significant bits, upper 16 bits is the segment address. Now I multiplied that one with the 10 in hexadecimal. Remember, 10 in hexadecimal is equal to 16 in decimal. 16 is the base number of hexadecimal. Okay, so I'm multiplying this 2500 hexadecimal with the base number of hexadecimal, that is 16 decimal, or I can say 10 hexadecimal. So that number now becomes 25000H hexadecimal. 25000 hexadecimal. So this here you can see that it's a segment address shifted by 1 digit in hexadecimal position. Now I have to add another 16-bit contained in IP register to it to get my exact physical location. Okay, exact physical location. So I'll add that one here, 95F3 here. So adding these two, I'll get here 0 plus 3 is 0, 0 plus F. I'm taking from bits from the far left, right side to the left side. So here 0 plus 3 is 3, 0 plus F is F, 0 plus 5 is 5, 5 plus 9. When we do this addition in decimal digits, it's 14. Okay, but here it is not 14. 14 in hexadecimal is E. Okay, 15 in hexadecimal is F, like that. So it's E here and 2. Now 2E5F3 is a complete 20-bit physical address. It is a complete 20-bit physical address of the program instruction. Because CS and IP are involved, program is being accessed. Wherever CS is not involved, suppose other than CS, DS, ES or SS is involved, it is a data access. When CS is involved, it's a program access. Program is being fetched from the memory, or program is being stored into the memory. Okay. So you take a look at this example completely. I'll give you 1 minute to have a look onto this example here. Then we can see one more example. So this is an offset address which is there in IP register, and this is my physical address. Okay, have a look upon this particular example for a while. We can see these 4 things what we have it here: segment address which is there in CS, okay, offset address which is there in IP, the third one. In between that, these two, there's just a shifted address here, and finally the physical address is at the bottom. So in another example, another question is given that following the operation illustrates the generation of 20-bit physical address from CS and IP. Here basically solved example is there to check how the CS and IP are calculated. From CS and IP, physical address, how it is calculated actually. Here you see CS contains 348AH. So that is my initial segment address. Multiplied by the 10 hexadecimal gives us 348A0. Okay. Then I have to add the content of IP, that is offset address of that one. That is 4214214H. I'm adding that one here. I'm getting the physical address. So basically the formula of physical address is again segment register content multiplied with the 10 hexadecimal plus offset register content. Segment registers are CS, ES, DS and SS. Offset registers for program instructions, it is IP. For data, different data, we have seen different things. SI is there, DA is there, SP is there in case of stack, and in some cases BX and BP also will come into picture as an offset registers, offset address registers. We shall elaborate these points when we do the contents are given, and you need to calculate, you need to find out the logical address. One more term is their logical address, very interesting to see here. What exactly logical address is? Logical address is written as actually segment address colon offset address. So here segment address is 24F6 and offset address is 634A. Okay, so that's logical address. The second thing what it is asking is that what is the offset address in this? Offset address is which is the content in IP register, that is offset address. So second question answer is offset address, the content of IP register. Third is it is asking the physical address. Physical address we know how to calculate. We got this 2B2AA as a physical address. Now the next two questions are here. What is the lower range of that segment and what is the upper range of that segment? Basically, it wants to check what is the least the segment range. That means where does that segment start in the physical memory, and upper range means where does that segment ends in the physical memory. Okay, physical memory is having the addresses 20 bits 00000 as the start, and F 5 times F is the peak highest. In this one code segment, in this particular example how it is taken, what it is starting address of code segment, what is the ending address of code segment, that is what it is asked in this point number 4 and 5. I'll show it means something like this. Lower range is this, bottom of the segment, upper range this plus this, that is the top of the segment. So that is all for this today's lecture. Thank you.